The pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Next, item is the approval of the agenda, which we're pretty fixed to, and there will be clarifications. That's a special meeting, so if there are any questions on the agenda, or to just move this as stated. Entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Commissioner Terry makes a motion to approve the agenda. Is there a second? Question or discussion on the agenda? Hearing any, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Agenda approved. First item on the agenda is the old and unfinished business, which would be the public nuisance on 8080 Highway 83 South Lenton. So it's the Kevin Evenson property. I just talked to Joe, the state's attorney here right before the meeting. He said he did not get any quotes, but I actually did get one. And I got an email from him here. So it would be, but yeah, so it's Jared Reese with All Purpose Services and Rentals. Basically, he's gonna want $2,500 a day plus $150 for travel. So it's $2,650 a day plus, there's no dump fees in there. So whatever fees he incurs would just be additional. And I kind of had told him, he came and looked at it, and I just told him, said he was planning on 2 days. And I feel like 2 days. So it's gonna be 2 guys. He's got a pretty good sized dump trailer he pulls behind his pickup. And then he'll bring a skid loader. That's all the exterior. But yeah, just basically the exterior of the property, so. And what are they taking off? Well, it depends. Like, I know what we worked on in the past is like, we probably have to work a plan with Custer Health, Sheriff's Department, everybody, and it's gonna take. Right. If that takes more than 2 days, I mean, and like some of the stuff, like the vehicles are generally been off, I mean, it's usually just the refuse around the property, and there's a fence that Joe said there's a building permit for, and that was an issue with the neighbors that would have to get taken down. And so stuff like that, which, I mean, I think the first step here is just to decide if we want to go with this bid. If we do want to do that, then after that, there probably have to be a separate meeting with Sheriff's Department, State's Attorney, probably Custer Health, maybe 1 or 2 commissioners or something, and come up with the ground rules on what it's gonna take to have this not be a nuisance. So, I did talk to the city of Linton about using their pit up here just for some of the stuff, and they said that some of like, if it's like building materials, things like you would have when you're tearing out a house, they would probably let us use the pit, but that old pit's pretty full, and the new pit, it's not quite done yet, so, because we went in the spring with that new one, so. But that's, I mean, it finished pretty quick by this fall or the winter, that's what they were working on it this winter, and so forth. But he said there's enough room in the pit, but we'll have to meet the city of Lynn too, and, you know, make sure we're not throwing things in that they didn't want in the whole pit. So some of the stuff would probably have to get taken this month, wish it, or something like that, but these are, you know, involved with that, get added on us too. This is the second time you've done it. It's the second time that I've been, you know, they did one time even before it, well, I'd say in the last 10 years, this is at least the 4th time. Yeah. So,
So where's this guy?
he's coming from his.
Yeah, he.
Yeah.
Well, you can't legally without his.
What, Kevin's? Yeah.
Kevin? Yeah, that's one.
We've gone through the process. Yeah.
Yeah.
He did.
He could.
We follow the process like condemnation, while Joe can go through the one's violation of the ordinances, we go through that stuff. If he doesn't comply in a certain timeline, then we will clean it, he gets. Right, and I think, yeah, I mean, and Jared said he can do it whenever. He's not a month out or something, I think he would start next week. Like I said, there'll be a few more meetings before we actually start, just to make sure that we're on the same page and everything gets taken care of, so.
Sooner the better, the sooner the better.
Right, so I guess,
So what left?
well, inside the house isn't really a part of any of that order, it's all just outside the property. Inside of it, if there, I don't know the whole deal in and out with the judgments and all that, that's where, like I said, we have to have a meeting with Joe and Custer Hill, the sheriff, make sure what's accessible, what's not, what's in. I don't think, I don't, historically, we never did anything inside the house, so it's so that's not true.
So I think it's one.
Yeah, well, that's not true, the judge. Well, right, I mean, that's true. So like I said, this is, even though we're making a decision, we're basically just finding somebody to do it. Before we even start, so. And then I know, just for the record, the one main demand that you did have is that you like security or, you know, something, right, just because it is kind of touchy subject, you know, so. That is one thing we'd have to go over, some kind of scenario where either property's not being occupied at the moment or they're secure or something for safety. And so like I said, this is really far from over, but for today, it's the only bid we have. I think it's a reasonable bid, and I think we should go with it and keep the process moving, so. Okay, so Commissioner Everly makes a motion that we hire Jared Reese to, basically bring the, 8080 Highway 83 South property to compliance. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Materi. Is there any more discussion? Like you said, there's gonna be follow-up meetings and all that stuff before we can, so if there's any other issues, they can. Not hearing any more discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? All right. So we have somebody hired, this is all, contact Jared after the meeting here. We can start scheduling things for meetings and get started, so.
So there was no other bids for that.
No, there's two other contractors or people that looked at it. They never submitted bids. Two bids here. So.
If you have done there's plenty of.
No, he just kind of started on some quick, so. Through that volume area and stuff, so she was Reese. So, I mean, he's familiar with this area, so that's why he came down, he said, yeah, he's interested, he was down there all the time with other stuff, so.
That ain't Jared, he said.
Yeah.
Is it Jared?
Mm-hmm. So, okay, well, we got, interviews for County Commissioner District 1, they begin at 9:15, so we got a little bit of time, so I guess before we get started, as far as I'm understanding the process, and I guess we can kind of do whatever we want for the most part, but we have 6 candidates scheduled here, 45 minutes for each candidate. We got, I think, 15 questions already set up for them. At the end of this, I guess if somebody has a clear-cut candidate or something, we'll open it for nominations once we're done with interviews. Yeah, I think the options that we have is we can make a nomination and you know, vote on those nominations. If we can't come to some kind of conclusion, or if people maybe aren't satisfied, the other thing we could do is take the top 2 or 3 and re-interview if you want, or, I mean, those are kind of the options, just so you know, I mean, whatever we want to do, I guess. The other thing would be, since there's 4 of us, there's really not a good scenario for a tie break, so if it would come to a tie break, the way we're doing this, there's really no defined rules, so
So does the Marlows have to break a tie?
well, the only thing that would happen, I know I asked Joe about it, he said he's not gonna be in the interviews though, so he wouldn't be able to do the tie break. In the scenario that we wouldn't appoint someone, Marlis would become the 5th commissioner.
Good.
So that's kind of what you're up against with not making a decision too, though. I guess I don't feel like it's probably fair to put that tie-breaking issue on Marlis, just because, I mean, she's the county auditor, she probably knows all these people. So I would say, in the event of a tiebreaker, there's 1 of 2 scenarios. I thought we could score them like a job deal and use that as a tiebreaker. I'm not a huge fan of the scoring all the time too, because sometimes it's a difference of 1 point. You have an opinion of someone and here they're not the high score, so now you have a moral conundrum. So in this event, we're not required to score, so I would just use your own intuition, I guess, on it basically. So I guess the idea of a tie break would be if it's down to like 2 people, maybe we would just re-interview. I don't know if that's.
And you'd wanna do that today, then again, re-interview.
Well, I don't know, I mean, like I said, I'm just trying to lay out some ground rules here in the event that I have. The likelihood of a tie break in my mind is probably not that significant. I kind of feel like we're probably gonna come to some kind of consensus at some point. There's just as good a chance of 3-1 as there's 2-2, so, but I'm just saying, we're kind of in uncharted waters. It's not like this is some process we're all familiar with. We had a little time, lay out some of the ground rules, I guess.
I'm not really for a point system either. I'd rather just interview and then get a feel. Sometimes you can get a feel. A point system is a deal where they may do a real good interview, but you know they're not really the best candidate. I mean, I've seen that done already.
Well, it just, yeah, there's times where you, especially if it's a difference of like 1 or 2 points, and you're like,
Yeah.
well, you feel like maybe at the end you kind of changed your mind, or you, or sudden you're like, now this person's the high score, and I'm going against that, and I have to defend that. And it's just, in this situation, if you're not required to score, I don't feel like it's different when you're doing a job interview, because you got your veterans and your preferences, and you have to score, and that makes perfect sense, but, so, I mean, the only other thing to say, I guess, it's more of a reminder for myself more than anything, is we're appointing someone to take over the job for about a year. You know, it's not like the place is gonna crumble to the ground, so maybe just, you know, try not to put just too much emphasis on every single question, and just pick someone you think's gonna do a good job. That's the best you can do, you know, and then if this person's really the person and they want it again, there's an election in a year probably, and then we'll find out if people are happy with them or if they want somebody else, so. That being said, I mean, I still feel like this is the fairest process. We gave everybody a shot at it. You know, we could have made an appointment that day if we would have came to it. I mean, so I guess we'll just go and ask the questions and see what happens, I guess.
You're gonna direct all the questions to them.
I'll read all the questions, that's fine. Other than that, anybody else got any questions, concerns, issues, anything like that?
No.
Are these people gonna be waiting outside?
Jason, you want me to go out there?
Well, I don't know, do we wanna create a system or something?
I suppose
I was gonna say there are people waiting out there already.
Sure.
There is people out there.
I
suppose the ones that are out there,
Well, that's it. So yeah, first on here at 9:15, Scott on.
The big table?
This is- Be careful.
Yeah. Tricky.
I think you can lock it in on the backside of it.
No, there's nobody else out there yet, so. Okay, so it's 9:15. Welcome, Scott.
Good morning.
You are the first one. You get to break all the rust off everybody.
Well, it's been 30 years since I've been on interviews, so it's a little different.
Just for your information too, this is being recorded, so just, if you didn't know now, you know.
Yep.
Okay. Well, we're just gonna start. We got about 15 questions here, and then afterwards, when it's all done, if you have any other questions for us, that's when you can ask them if you have any. Okay. You can come up, so. Right, so the first question would be, please start by telling us a little about your background and more specifically what interests you in being on the board of county commission and what encouraged you to apply.
Okay. Well, most of you know I'm from Hazelton, and I graduated there, went to North Dakota State University, got a degree in agriculture economics with an emphasis in ag lending. After college, I went to work at the Strasburg State Bank for 3 years, where I was an ag loan officer and insurance agent. In 1990, I started a position at the Bank of Hazelton at the same capacity, and I've been there 32 years. I also started farming with my father in 1993 and basically took over the operation in about 1998. I've been on, I'm currently the North Dakota the Emmons County rep for the North Dakota Soybean Council. I'm currently the president of Hazelton Housing, and I have been for 20 years. I was president of Emmons County Housing for about 10 years, ended I guess I don't know when it was, probably ended in about 2014 or something like that. I was on the Hazelton Moffett School Board for 18 years, president of the last 7. And which kind of leads me into how I got interested in county government. Being on the school board, you know, you got exposed to kind of how things work with taxes, setting budgets, and managing a business, basically, is what it is. And that's how I got interested in it. And, you know, I read something just last night or somewhere, a politician, I said, well, how did you get into it? And he said, well, you know, if you want to influence policy or priorities, you gotta show up. And that's why I'm here. As far as an agenda, you know, I don't have an agenda. I don't want to get on the board to change this and change that. I'm just not all about that.
Okay. It's important for all the members of the county commission to be present at all meetings in order to maintain efficiency in conducting county business. Is there anything that would prevent you from regularly attending meetings on time?
Well, I'm going to have to manage my time, obviously, and you know, I was on the board at the school for 18 years. I missed 2 meetings. So, no, I think I can work it out.
Okay. How do you define the role of a county commissioner?
Well, I think you set policy and try and influence priorities. I mean, you still have, you're just kind of overseeing, you know, all the different departments within the county. You got to let those people do their jobs. You hired them to do it. You know, you just let them do their jobs. And I think that's it. You know, you represent the people in your district and try and do what's best for the county.
What do you see as the biggest challenges facing Emmons County? And if you could change one thing, what would it be?
Well, I think it's probably the same for any business. You know, it's increasing expenses, you know, while trying to balance keeping taxes affordable. I think that's the biggest challenge. And everything kind of relates to that, right? As far as retaining employees and recruiting new employees and maintaining and building infrastructure. I think it's all related to that.
How much experience do you have serving on boards of directors, managing committees or other governing boards? I mean, you kind of answered that already, so I mean, you're pretty comfortable with serving on boards.
Yep. Like. Yeah. I enjoy working with like-minded people, you know, trying to achieve the same goal. I think it's fun when it works, right?
Describe a situation when you had to make an unpopular decision and how you dealt with the consequences. I don't think grounding your voice counts either.
Multiple times.
I'm just trying to lighten it up. First interview is always stale, everybody's tight, so.
I think, probably being on the school board was, you have always situations, probably the toughest situation we dealt with there was the co-op, starting a co-op with Winton and stuff, and, there's always different points of view on that, and it's a very emotional, both sides, right, and I guess how we did it, we listen to everybody, and then you just try and make the best decision you can.
How will you make yourself available to constituents, and how important is it for a commissioner to be available?
Well, you have these cell phones, right, and you can't get away from anybody with them, so I think that's probably the biggest thing, and you all know where I work, right, and I'm there every day for the most part, right? No, I think you gotta be available, people, when they call you, they're looking for help, or they want to hear their voice heard, so I think you gotta be available, and in my experience, people are nice, I mean, they just wanna be heard.
Do you have any special projects, programs, or emphasis that you would like to pursue as a commissioner?
I do not. Obviously, like a lot of people, I'm interested in roads and all that, but other than that, no. I mean, and I don't have a big thing with it. It interests me because I drive on them every day, right? But any other special things, no, I don't have any agendas at all.
What policy and procedure topics would you be most interested in exploring if you were appointed as a commissioner?
Anticipated that kind of question.
Is there any specific thing that, as a county commissioner, just that you would really like to probably dive into more than something else? I mean, whether that's in ordinances or, road department, sheriff's department, I mean, anything that just, it doesn't have to be a correction, but just more sort of learn about it.
Well, I think the human resources part of it interests me a little bit. I'd be interested in that. And probably just the financial part of it more. That interests me.
In a time of increasing costs and decreasing federal state funding, how could the county save or get the most out of their money?
Well, I think you just gotta set priorities, right? I mean, at certain points of the year, you gotta sit down and say, well, hey, this is the most important thing to us right now. This is the most important thing. And then you just check them off your list. I'm kind of a big list person, and I like writing stuff down and then just prioritizing it. Okay, this is what we gotta get done. This is what we gotta get done. And just go down the list and knowing that, hey, you might not get to all of them. But, that's how I do it.
Is the current zoning regulations and permitting processes doing enough to ensure the public interest, or are they too onerous?
I think they're fine. I think it's more just of a point of, getting people trained, hey, this is what, this is the process, this is what we gotta do. And I think, even for myself going through some of that, it's not horrible. I mean, it's easy to do. You fill out a little bit of paperwork or you follow the rule, and it's not hard to work with. I think the biggest thing is probably communication, that people know that, hey, this stuff is out there. You know, and you gotta abide by that if you can't, you know, as much, well, you gotta abide by it. I think that's the biggest thing, is probably communicating that stuff out there.
Is there a certain part of county government that would receive more attention if you were appointed? And explain your answer.
No, I don't have, no.
Do you have a basic understanding of mill levies and how the county uses mills to generate the county budget?
Yes. Being on the school board, very familiar with that.
What is your understanding on how our various local Emmons County public safety agencies such as the sheriff's office, fire department, ambulance service serve the county? And how do they operate? Basically, what's your understanding of the sheriff's office, fire department, ambulance service as far as how they operate?
The sheriff's department is county funded and the fire departments are all in their own districts. Ambulance is county funded. I guess I don't quite understand.
They're generic questions.
Okay. Okay.
That's all right. The last question is have you, a family member, or business partner signed a contract or accepted money from some government solutions?
Yes. And I'll explain that a little bit. So when they approached me, they wanted to go across, I don't know, 400 or 600 feet of one of my pieces of land. And where it was at and whatnot, it just wasn't a big priority to me. Now that being said, I really respect the people that did not sign them and did not want it too. I understand their position. But for me personally, in my situation, that little piece of land it wasn't a big priority for me.
Well, I mean, the main reason for the question, it sounds so much like a gotcha or trying to do anything that. The main thing is just that if there is a conflict of interest arising with this board, I mean, has already dealt with some issues and probably will deal with them in the future. So, I mean, that's something I think the concern where the question came. It's just if there is a conflict of interest that is kind of out there with this. So, whether or not you did or didn't, just that's up to the commissioners, and that's an issue.
Yeah. I don't have a strong opinion on it. I'm not one to say, oh yeah, I'm absolutely for it, and I'm not one to say I'm absolutely against it. I believe in property rights. If that individual does not want it, well, I respect it.
Well, the first interview is always the fastest because nobody's looked it up yet. Do you have any questions for us or anything off the cuff? Scheduling questions or how things up?
Well, I think I visited with you before, about it, what the time constraints are and stuff, and no, other than that, so is it unusual to have more than 1 or 2 meetings a month, or is this kind of just does it vary a lot, or?
Well, I think in this situation, it's exactly what it is. This is, a resignation by a commissioner is not very common, so yeah, we have a special meeting. Like this winter, we had quite a few, there's a horrible winter. You go through a nicer winter.
Yeah.
You probably have a meeting. It's usually weather related, personnel related. Somebody resigns, you gotta fill the position, something that just has to happen, and you can't wait till the next meeting.
Okay.
I mean, I would say half the months are normal meetings, and then there's probably a third to half the months you have some special meeting, but a lot of special meetings are however long. Yeah, it might be just something needs to happen before a certain deadline. I mean, we've had special meetings for approving liquor licenses that didn't get put in as a 15-minute meeting, and if you can't make it, we call in by phone enough to get a quorum just to get something approved.
Okay.
I mean, that's happened.
Well, that was gonna be my next question, do someone can't make it, can you call in, or can you Zoom in, or do you do anything like that, or haven't?
I think the expectation is the monthly meeting, you really should be there. A special meeting, we've called people, I think Don's answered one in the combine before, and, you know, if it's hey, we have to pay this bill, and we, you know, it didn't come until after the meeting, a special meeting, and it's normally something you probably would have approved anyway, it's generally pretty quick.
Okay.
So I don't think as far as time constraints go, it's too bad. The only other issue that might arise is if you end up serving on another board, because some of us are on, like myself, I'm on the Human Service Zone. It used to be the Social Service Board, but now we combine with several counties, the state combined us. So I have a quarterly meeting there, it's bi-monthly. And like the one was on Monday, and it was in Ellendale, I wasn't gonna be able to take a whole day, I participated by phone. I'm also on the Public Health Board, that meets quarterly. You know, so that, you know, like some of them, and that one's in the evening, that's pretty easy to attend. So yeah, if you end up sitting, I mean, some of these guys are on the, Gary's on a couple boards. There's some boards that you might serve more than one, you might have a couple other meetings a month, but I don't think they're impossible to attend. And like I said, a lot of them I've attended by phone just because it just didn't work out. So I think it's pretty flexible for the most part. The monthly meeting is probably the one where if there was a required attendance, it's the first Tuesday of every month, everybody kind of knows it. And once you get a few meetings, it just gets burned into your brain that first Tuesday I'm busy, like dentist appointments, everything, as soon as it comes up, you're like, nope, can't do it. So, other than that, it's pretty easy to attend.
Okay.
Any other questions, concerns, comments?
I don't have anything.
I got a question. If you were asked by, say you got on as commissioner and somebody came up and asked you to do them certain favors, what would you do?
As far as, you know, I guess first of all, I'd refer them to the department that they're referencing and wanting a favor, I guess. I guess I would never do a personal favor like that. I mean, if somebody would bring something to my attention, I guess I'd first take it to that department that it has to deal with and let them deal with it. And I guess if the person would keep relenting on it and they weren't getting any satisfaction from that department, I guess I'd try and bring it to the board. But no, I don't think a commissioner can just say, oh no, yeah, I'll get it done for you. I mean, you can't do that.
Right.
I mean, where does it end? I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Now, do you feel you're just serving a district, or do you feel you're serving the whole county?
Well, I think you're giving the residents in your district a voice in how the county is run.
Right.
So no, you can't just say, no, I'm just gonna do this for the northern part and stuff. You gotta do what's best for the whole county.
Anything else? Okay, well, I think we're done unless you got something you want to add.
I don't.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right, Scott.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Come on, keep them if you got any notes or anything on them.
Do they know what order they come in, these people out there?
I think Marcy told them. You told them what order, what time they're in.
Yes.
Okay, so they know what time they're in, so, one thing I did forget to bring up that, you know, Gary kind of did notice. We probably shouldn't go off script with the questions, just to be fair that we ask the same questions to everybody. So my suggestion, I just wrote down Gary's two questions, so I thought they're good. We should ask everybody that.
Right.
Because that's
To be fair.
just to be, because now all of a sudden later on, Scott's like, what the heck, they didn't get asked that question. And so I think for fairness of it, which I'm fine with, we'll end up with 17 questions now.
I just thought those were two
They
questions.
were good questions, I have no problem with them, just, we'll ask them of everybody now, so.
Okay.
So we do have some time. I don't think any of these are time-sensitive agenda issues, so we can just keep working until the next deal. So, one thing, from, setting a date for the 2024 county budget public hearing. We typically do that after the preliminary budget, but we just didn't do it. So we need to pick a date and a time that works where we think we can have a public hearing. Traditionally, from what I've seen, we've usually done it on the commission meeting day, and we've done it at the end of the day. So, because it's October, we would do it.
You can't hold it sooner than September 7th.
Right, so there's rules of that. So generally what we always did was held it at the commissioner meeting that made the most sense and just did it at the end of the day, which, you know.
Last year we did it at 5:30.
5:30, which is, I think you gotta have it in the evenings when people can attend, so, I mean, in my opinion, at least with my schedule, the county commission meeting pretty much disrupts my entire day anyway, so I'd rather just pull apart the whole day than go and have a special hearing a different night where you gotta quit early or do something, so I guess I would suggest,
October meeting and.
the October meeting would be October 3rd, and to do it at 5:30 in the auditorium.
If we get done at noon.
If we get done at noon or 1, you just have to come back, I guess.
You can come down in here.
Oh, I guess we could have, we've always had it out, well, we could have, well, we did, last year didn't.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did, yeah, let's just have it here, it's way more comfortable. Yeah, that makes sense. I forgot we did it. So, yeah. Anybody have any issue with that time or date?
I'm ready to do it.
Yeah, it'd just be the same as the regular commission day. So if we get done before that, I guess you can leave and then just be back here at 5:30, so. Okay, so that's settled. Next item would be to pick an interviewing committee for the director of tax equalization. So
The deadline isn't until Friday, but I'd like to set up interviews after that, if we could.
and we have applicants.
I have 2 so far, but deadline isn't until Friday.
Okay, so you got at least 2, could have more, so
Who's gonna interview?
that's what we're debating right now. Have to form a little committee. Well, Gary and I did it last time, so I hate to just volunteer people, but
Get children in coffee. Well, don't we have somebody?
well, generally what we did, like with Gary and I, and then we had Ardell up as the tax director, because she had experience in that office and she had some very good, insights, and, when people had questions, there were things that she just knew better than Gary and I did, so.
She said she would do it again.
Okay, so you got Ardell on board, which she's fantastic for this position, and she's got experience in it, so.
Maybe you two are so well groomed with interviews, I think it'd be a good idea to keep
Like,
you two.
I said, if you guys, if nobody else would do it, I guess I'd volunteer, but it's open.
My opinion is you don't get good at something unless you practice, so I'm gonna suggest me just do it. Gary, if so good. You're good at something, don't do it for free, and we're doing it for free, so.
Well, the deadline is on the 18th, but do it, but next week sometime.
I don't care who does it, but I ain't gonna be. So I did it on small, but yeah, I gotta get some work done at some point, so.
I think next week.
Yeah. I see next week. If it works, or, whatever.
I suppose it'd be during the day too, huh?
Well, I want to make a recommendation to have it after hours, because I do have a couple of candidates they have jobs and.
It would make more sense, that'd probably be a little easier in the evening too, I guess, for somebody.
I can't be really funny stuff when I get the toppers. At 8:25.
October 26th, no, August 26th.
August
That's next
26th.
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
I can help whatever, I guess, I'll be there. What day?
Well, Marcy doesn't know for sure, she just wants to do it next week. I mean, it'll depend if they can do
Or you can
it.
take any days, I mean.
Well, the big thing is I'm sure they'll, gotta have people.
I think so. Or after 5.
Well, if you only have 2 or 3 candidates, it shouldn't take too long.
So you got Ardell and Don, and then you're gonna do it?
I guess you gotta get exposed.
That's right.
One way.
What date and what time? You guys tell me, I'll set it up.
You tell me, I guess, I think I'm okay. No. Anytime, just a day.
23rd?
Wednesday the 23rd.
Should work.
At, starting at 5:30?
Sure.
How many candidates are there? Just two?
Two so far.
You're at the courthouse right here. Okay,
Probably go to the commissioner's room.
okay.
So August 23rd at 5:30.
Do you want me to call and remind you or email you something?
Yeah, you can.
He's saying yes, okay.
We can.
Well, this one ain't until 10 o'clock.
Well, I told Marcy to give us 45 minutes, and then we can tie up a question, but you know, the first interview is always, that people start loosening up and stuff, I don't know, if they're only gonna be 15-minute interviews, then yeah, I guess. Then when it was, well, the day you and I did, was it the Veterans Affairs officer, we had 7 people, we kept going past the whole time, so I thought, well, gosh, a half hour wasn't enough, and then now we get 45. We give them 45 minutes, and now we're gonna be done 10 minutes in every time, that's, no?
We'll get over it.
Well, if they show up early, then we'll bring them in early.
Maybe they're up, maybe somebody's out there.
Adele, can you interview him when I go check?
Yeah, I thought a half hour.
You know, we'll just move ahead.
Well, just get it that way, they're here and ready to go. That's why we're on a half hour. And if it takes longer, it's fine, but at least they'd be here.
You have to sit up for 10 minutes.
It's gonna be you, Donna, Everly, and Dan too. Okay, so it's good, the 23rd fine? Okay.
Again, yeah, I had it.
Thank you.
That woman's, yeah, I know.
So Marcus, does Ardell have questions for that too, or how do they got, how do you do that?
I have some. I'll give them to Ardell.
I think
Then you ask some questions.
Mark,
Eddie?
you know the candidates are different than we have before, so I'll probably have the same questions.
I don't know how they're looking. I'm just thinking. And then it was like, the wall got down in the hole. Makes it show you how deep it is, but with the public and I could open my clothes in the soil, so you should have it. Soil.
Well, the next item for discussion will be, quick, would be the, weed cutting fees.
I gave you guys a copy of what I put in the paper. I have to get that in the paper next first week of September, so. You'll give it $500 fee.
That's what you want.
It's something else.
Did I put it, give it to you?
But the property.
I think, did I give it to you? I have a.
Do I get partial less?
Yeah, so you basically look in with $500. So,
So that would, that each has to go top of the wall, some box staff, if you talk about. What do you do, 5, they pay.
yeah. Well,
I see what did the place last fall. Oh, the piles that high.
well, I can tell you a big issue, I took some back, some less name for the job. I mean, some of these ditches have touched, they are 5, 6 feet tall, sweep over sunflowers. Well, and then everywhere that is, there's a windrow and sod and weeds in it, that's part of the problem, you can't, they can't wait to the edge of the road, there's all this sand that's just growing roads, I mean.
I think that's all of this year. People are finding that weeds growing so far, they didn't get played really confidently, played so.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them too, I don't guarantee a lot of these ditches, it's middle of August, they're gonna go off the surface where they're just gonna get out, and it's just gonna lay there for the end of the year too, so. I don't know, I mean, we've been kind of, probably kind of lax on this end. Well, in some years it's better than others, so it just kind of depends.
Well, here, yeah. There's a lot of rainfall, weeds grew back, big cut earlier than that. They got charged. Started a lot of.
Well, I think the fee is probably fine, they just working, enforcing tougher, so.
If it's more than, say, a couple miles, then it'd be
Then it's 500 a month.
500 a month.
If it's $500 minimum.
I was gonna say,
It doesn't matter if it's 200 feet, it's $500, it's a mile, it's 500. So that's kind of where it's at.
I think that's a good.
It's,
Cheaper, $7,000 or so.
well, there is a limit, I think there's kind
That's
of.
what we had that.
right, and
But that,
who would want, I mean, if you pay for your own to do that.
You should, nobody.
Some people said
Is there a-
actual expense.
Because if it is the actual expense, you can't.
Actual expense. So the farmer doesn't fight their feet to be to, what's it actually costs.
So. That's where $500 is going, always been, because usually, generally, when you cut to the track, it's usually on the cheaper side, because we're leasing through the association. You got an actual cost of owning, you're not, but generally, more reasonable. $500 is probably where it should be, so I'd say just keep it up. Another one on the quick thing here too is we also have the cost share agreement for culvert replacement. Swallowers been hired and, we've been with them for, well, we basically do this essentially.
We got like, well, shares, but yes, we,
Like,
well, shares, yeah.
oh, well, I think this might be it. Right, this is the agreement that, yeah, this is the agreement with by Mark. Fuji, from there. So basically, this agreement just states that, we small, we're gonna do a 50/50 cost share.
That's a. That's that, all city. I think plus stuff is excavated, each place, so when he gets it. Because
I think the only thing that I would probably change or add would be on item 4, where it says each party be responsible for 50% of the cost of the project, then up to $25,000. Not saying it would cost, right, because that was what the motion was, because that was based off their estimate, actually their estimate is even move forward, I think we should add that in there, just not that all of a sudden it's not a trust issue, but we should just clarify it. If it would end up being more, if it's reasonable, we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of, that's what the motion said, I just to make sure that it's in there.
So just put in, 5,000.
Yeah.
do the whole.
And I think that's, just tell them that that's what we made on the motions, that these protect themselves with that. If we come forward, we'll just consider it. I don't think it'll be an issue, but just. You hate to go and be like, it's no big deal, and all of a sudden it's a hidden cost, and then we're just on the hook for it, where we should at least get a chance to negotiate and talk about it.
Did he bid locker on which side? We lock, get that side.
I never did actually see the actual quote, I just see the total cost, and I thought the total cost wasn't even what we thought it would be. Even Skyler said too, and he thought the price was, so I'm assuming And that's why we even went a little over. I think their estimate was about 22 or 23, we went to 25, so if it is an increase of some stuff, I don't think it.
See, it's supposed to be this caution.
Well, that's entirely possible in something like that too, if you want to pursue a grant or something like that. That might be a South Dakota thing versus North Dakota or Hillary.
Or if anything, sooner.
Yeah, depends what grant they have, I guess if it's federal, state, maybe even some local.
Okay.
So I think I would entertain a motion for, just to sign the cost share agreement for the culvert replacement with that amended item for it.
I make a motion to accept this culvert replacement with the amount paid to.
Commissioner Terry makes a motion to sign the cost share agreement with Campbell County with the amended item for it. There's a second. Second by Commissioner Everly, discussion. Not hearing any, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Do you want me to sign it? Contingent on that? Sure. Let's see if anything's on.
Jules name. Jules the major for these serious.
We waited on 15 minutes for interview, then we went over on everyone.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do, I guess.
Yeah, one second, coming early. We got it.
It's just flat deal.
Probably just an approval of a plat probably or something. Well, we kind of can save one or two things if we have a break again, because we can talk about that a little bit longer or something. Yes,
You want to entertain that flat deal?
we could do that.
Josh looked at that plat, he said it's good to go, it's out by Beaver Bay. Aaron and his attorneys are just, they, just platted out to, sell those 3 lots there, that's what they did.
These two lots of time.
Yeah.
That's to the south of what they presently.
Isn't it north of what they're presently? Yeah.
So, 83. 18, yeah.
Yeah, that's
I think so. Yeah. So this is right on kind of the north side of the northeast of, our place by the bay or bay side of the river. They got that.
the same one, the big one.
Well, it looks like they just subdivided the, what's in about 3 or 4 acres, so not into 3 for acre. Rather than keep a certain basic block. So. Motion by Commissioner Everly to approve the plat for Aaron and Lisa Jones.
What side of the road is that?
So that means west side.
That's what's his name, so it's actually double ways.
Well, that's in between. So,
She did a second.
That's what it's all about.
We should get a second for motion so we can discuss it. So second to Commissioner Everly's motion. To approve. Second by Commissioner Terry. Our discussion. Yeah, looks like this property is right there, straight east of the storage units there, and the bay side is all right there. There was a garage and the 2 trailer houses there. That sold off. And
oh, that's so.
they're just basically vacant lots right at the east side. Can't think of the study. basically you have to, there's an approach there, I think, but then not even to the
There is.
side to get to it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it looks like they just subdivided one lot into three, so, and they're all over an acre, which is kind of the big issue with that, so. So we have a motion and a second, is there any discussion on this plat? Not hearing any, all those in favor of approval, say aye. Opposed? Plat approved.
That place still open,
And then she left.
what you did.
She went back to
Nobody's renting.
He said,
Huh?
he said, that would be
This
this.
spot is signed?
I don't,
No. It's in serve, it's this kind of.
it's too bad.
Yeah. This little place there.
See, the water's come so jealous. That color, what's there? Before, sure.
Oh, I suppose that's.
They got the colors. The dirt shit. 8%. Gravel. That top is gravel. Another 3 weeks ago.
I suppose that.
Big. Well, a lot of guys. That's 5, 6, 8. I felt chocolate light.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good spot there. Just sucks. It's just a little too far from Bismarck. That river's so, I don't know. It's too bad. It's a good idea when Bosch initially did it.
So where did you say she went?
Back to Wayne.
What's that where she was from?
That's where they're from, I guess. That's what I was told last weekend. There's narrative talk, people talk.
You know, where Henry Yard.
But we don't have a lot of business after these interviews to take care of. Just that's it.
Can a guy call ahead of time, call some of these people, come in earlier?
well, that's what I would do,
I would do.
because half hour would have not enough.
Otherwise, we're gonna sit here all day.
What time is after?
10 o'clock. Then next one's at 10:30.
You guys told me to go 45 minutes, that's what I did.
Yeah, that's what you were told to do.
Yeah.
You always listen to us.
Yes, I always listen to men,
Yeah.
they're stronger than I am.
We'll be sitting here most of the time, waiting
Just relax.
on this thing.
Are you working on that something? We should have a job. He's on.
Maybe he was invited, this is gonna be on benefit. I hope he was there.
They can't wait to see that double line open gets moved in there. And then they don't scare it.
No, they won't. That was not even realistic, though. Because you got a building, first of all, you have a building permit. So it won't
They
get
will have to see what just the place will come in.
your dreaming again.
Guy took this off. You should have this.
Yeah.
Did you tell me?
I think you can ask him, he's always on time.
Yeah, I gave you a copy now.
What time was he scheduled?
10 o'clock.
I'm
Train work for the other day. Yeah, how much range you have to
Each town.
get that?
Okay, so.
Yeah, I was surprised.
If you read it, that has to 41 stuff.
Yeah, there was an area, Highway 13, because I was out, went down the area, out there by 13, 18, right by that junction, top of the hill.
Thank you.
Oh,
I'm not saying.
nothing. I couldn't believe that. Bone dry.
Record or.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know, I was going to eat food before you get. Start thinking like that.
I think so. It's excellent.
Hi, Mike.
Hey,
You can have seat.
the hot seat?
That's what I've seen.
All right.
Well, one thing we probably took for granted is that we know most of these guys' names, so I guess the first question should be, you state your name and where you're from.
Mike Appert, Hazelton, North Dakota.
Okay. So we have 17 questions, and then when we're done, then there'll be an opportunity for you to ask any questions if you like. And
Sure.
other than that, I think that's all we have. So the first question is please start by telling us a little bit about your background, and more specifically, what interests you in being on the board of county commissioners, and what encouraged you to apply.
Well, my background is really just agriculture in Emmons County, right? So, I mean, farm in Hazelton area, and I've served on numerous boards, I guess, and I've paid a little bit more closer attention to the Emmons County Commissioner progress through the Summit Pipeline. I'm a little bit familiar with that because of what we're doing out at Red Trail Energy with the carbon capture storage. So I had a little more interest, when that came about, but really, I was just talking to Dave Culver, and he, he's expressed interest in maybe somebody should take his spot, and he kind of would have liked a farmer around there, and, we visit. I've had a long history with Dave on boards. I served with, Dave Culver on the Cenex board in the early 90s, 92, 3, 4 back then, and then actually South Central Grain in the late 90s, early 2000s, and, so we've got a pretty good board relationship. And so I just thought, yeah, it might be a good idea, make sure we keep farmers on the board. I don't mind having a little bit of, what would you say, representation of that part of it for the county and the commissioners. But no, I mean, I was on the North Dakota Soybean Council and soybean growers for a dozen years, and I just finished that at the end of June. And I've been on the board of Green Air and Equipment for about 5-6 years, and that's going to come to an end. So it kind of opens up a little bit of time for me, and I just thought, well, you guys, if you're looking for somebody, I thought I'd at least throw my hat in and offer my services.
Okay. It's important for all members of the county commission to be present at all meetings in order to maintain efficiency in conducting county business. Is there anything that would prevent you from regularly attending meetings on time?
Well, other than a medical emergency or something crazy like that, I would say no. I mean, if I'm going to commit, I'm going to commit.
Okay. How do you define the role of county commissioner?
Well, I mean, I see you guys conduct the business for the members of the county at the county level, and I mean, it's not that I've ever done it. I've never been a county commissioner, but I'm fairly aware of what you're doing there. And we have kind of a nice quiet county that way. We don't have a lot of trouble usually. So I think a lot of what your business is, it seems like it's routine, and you guys have a good grasp on it, and once in a while you get something new coming up. But no, I mean, you're conducting the business, running the county, taxing, running the budget, and making sure all the services are there, taking care of all the business in the county.
What do you see as the biggest challenges facing Emmons County? If you could change one thing, what would it be?
I'm not sure I'd come in here and tell you what we should change today. I'm new to this, right? So until I'd be involved on the commissioner level for a while, I wouldn't really throw darts at anything. I think this county runs pretty well as a rule. I really have no complaints. I can't ever think I've never even called the county commissioner or the road guy or anybody, just because, things are, and I understand around what it's like to run a business. I think one of the major challenges for all businesses, probably including the county, is just, managing costs in this environment. It seems like the cost structure is just, I don't know, it's just, it's probably something we haven't seen in our lifetime yet, this explosion of cost of doing business and how to manage that. And, it's really puts a lot of strain. We have a personnel shortage, we have cost issues. It's, there's a lot of kind of issues that I don't know if they just reared their head after COVID or whatever you'd call it, but just a lot of challenges that I don't think we really faced before. And so we see it running every business, right? It's in all businesses, just labor shortages and cost of doing business and equipment costs and everything. So yeah, I mean, that's obviously going to be front and center for you guys every day.
Yeah, it's not much different here than it is everywhere else. We buy our fuel and everything at the same places, so yeah, it's a tough deal. How much experience do you have serving on boards of directors, management committees, or other governing boards, which you kind of already stated?
Yeah, I think, it started probably 31 years ago or so at the Senex board, and then South Central Grain, and then I've been on Red Trail Energy ethanol board since 2003. I'm serving vice chair right there, and I chair the risk management committee, and I chair the St. Anthony Finance Council here in town, and I chair the Hazelton Airport Authority. I manage the Hazelton Airport, and I guess my history goes back 30 some years. Got a degree in finance from UND, and kind of use that all the time on these boards. It's been kind of a good fit for me, and so I've got a lot of experience. It's not all public servant. I'd say the public servant part is more the Hazelton Airport Authority, the government involvement that way, or it's more been private industry. Of course, my experience is more private industry based. Don't have a lot of governmental type experience other than what we see like on the Hazelton Airport Authority, for example, or North Dakota Soybean Council, of course, was actually a state government organization. So I was on there for 6-7 years until I turned out, and so I'm familiar with a little bit of how that works that way. I don't have a decades-long run of experience in county government or public servant like that, but I do have a lot of familiarity in private industry and a little bit of experience with, what would you call it, the bureaucracy of some of the government stuff.
Describe a situation when you had to make an unpopular decision and how you dealt with the consequences.
Well, I guess you try to do the right thing, and sometimes there's misinformation out there. Sometimes there's just people got to agree to disagree. I mean, I don't know how else you explain it. You can't make the wrong decision just because somebody wants you to. I guess you just try to continue to make the right decisions and keep moving forward. There's hard decisions have to be made by people every day, right? So it's not anything new. I guess we just make them and keep moving.
How will you make yourself available to constituents? How important is it for a commissioner to be available?
Well, I think it's probably important if somebody has some needs or concerns, and I guess I have my cell number and they can heckle me all day. Right.
Sure.
Well, how else are you gonna get hold of somebody? Yeah, I mean, no, I think that's important. I mean, if you're really here to represent the citizens of the county, you have to be open to, their comments, suggestions, wants, needs. I mean, I'm sure you'll hear some. I'm sure that just happens when you get on here, right? You get all kinds of attention that you don't ask for.
Yes.
Find your number one way or the other.
Somebody call my dad because my cell phone number at that.
Well, I think, and something you guys, call it a negative, but call it a positive, right? Cause this is a nice small county, everybody knows everybody, and so this is kind of a nice, I would call it a nice environment to be operating in, even if somebody's mad cause this isn't going right. It's still a nice environment that everybody knows everybody, can talk to people, reach out, so.
I would say it's kind of the positive than negative.
I would
The
say,
negative one tends to be a little bit longer.
well, right, yeah, squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? Make a big squeak, but.
Do you have any special projects, programs, or emphasis that you would like to pursue as a commissioner?
Well, no, not right off the bat. I think I'd come in neutral and just, I'd have a lot to learn, you guys. I mean, you've been on this for some time. I'd be in learning mode. I think I'd be in learning mode. I don't really come with any agenda. I really don't. I'm a taxpayer. I live here, I function here, I have a business here and operate here, so that's been fine. We've been getting by, right? I don't even have a complaint at this point. I just, would take an interest in moving it forward. And I hope we can, there's always room for improvement and everything, right? And I just maybe hope I could add to that improvement, help out somewhere, sometime, somehow.
What policy and procedure topics would you be most interested in exploring if you were appointed to the commission?
Well, I don't know. I guess, you guys would have to let me know what's all available, where you need people. Sometimes it's a matter of who wants to do it and who doesn't, right? So.
10 minutes ago.
Yeah. So I don't know how this all works, didn't fall off the truck yesterday, but, at certain areas of expertise that might work. I might be more beneficial in certain areas than others, but I understand how it works, and if you get assigned to something, you just have to gear up for it, but then, I guess, as you all manage the county and see if you need somebody, I don't know what Dave was all doing, and if you wanna shuffle it up, now that he's not there, or however you wanna do it, I like I said, I'm not really coming with an agenda here, I'm just not. So, where I could best serve is what I would tell you.
In a time of increasing costs and decreasing federal or state funding, how could the county save or get the most of it for their money?
Well, that's gonna be a topic of conversation, isn't it? I mean,
Generally is.
like I said, I think that's one of the major challenges of running businesses today. I see it every day, just the cost challenges. And I mean, I buy inputs, I buy equipment, I run a staff of employees and do some things that I can maybe draw on my experience to help on the county level. I don't know. And you do a lot of things that I don't do. So, like I said, I have a lot to learn, but, the challenges are real. And, the taxpayer is, I'm sure, watching, right? So you can't just raise taxes and make them pay more and offer them less year after year. That's not gonna fly, right? So really, that kind of falls in your lap, right? How do we manage it and make it work the best? I guess if I'd be on here, we'd be trying to figure that out.
Is the current county zoning regulations and permitting processes do enough to ensure the public interest, or are they too onerous?
Well, I don't know. I think all government is onerous maybe sometimes, but it's necessary, right? So I haven't come across any that are too burdensome, but obviously just in my short lifetime, there's been changes to that, right? I mean, there's more and more of that stuff all the time, and there's good reason for it, right? It's always a problem somewhere that starts something, so I get it, and yeah, I'm sure the public, if they need more, they're gonna ask for more at some point, right? So it's not gonna get better, I imagine, it'll get worse, right, that way, but as long as you can conduct business, it's not like a terrible burden, as long as it's not restricting business activity in the county, which I don't see that at this point, but that's kind of a balancing act, isn't it? I mean, it really is, but you have to have some, right? It's just the way it is, you have to have some.
Well, I think we've run into situations at the county level too, where you try to be maybe a little lax on some things, and then it gets taken advantage of, and then the neighbor's not happy with it, and now you have an issue where you got to sort it out. So that's where, like you said, sometimes it might be onerous to one person, and the next person doesn't think it's restrictive enough, and So, yeah.
Yeah, you give them an inch, you take a mile, so you gotta have rules in place just so that everybody can live here, right? It's not just one person in the county, right? You just gotta make it for everybody.
Is there a certain part of county government that would receive more attention if you were appointed? If so, explain your answer.
Well, I don't know, I kinda think maybe just because I farm, so I'd be interested in, the roads and, the gravel roads and, some of the infrastructure and culverts and stuff that way, and I think the budget would probably intrigue me, I mean, so yeah, maybe like how you run the county shop and how that all works would be intriguing and of interest to me, for one thing. I mean, one of many probably, and then the budget, just handling revenues and expenses of the county, I think is what would really interest me off the bat. Yeah. And I'm sure, once you dig into it, it's just, I know you guys conduct there's just a lot of routine business you guys are dealing with all the time, right? Plus all this extra that gets thrown at you, so it's, yeah, I mean, but just because of what I do, where I live and what, how I'm functioning, I would have, I have an eye on that every day, so that would be something that I see every day, but.
Do you have a basic understanding of mill levies and how the county uses mills to generate the county budget?
Unfortunately, I do. Yes, I do, yes.
It's not always the system everybody wants, but it's the one we got too, so that's kind of how it works.
Well, there you go. I mean, you gotta have something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is your understanding on how various Emmons County public safety agencies, such as the sheriff's office, fire departments, and ambulance services, serve the county, how they operate, and how they're currently funded and managed?
Well, I don't know all the details. I mean, I know the general observation of it all, but I did grab a budget. I actually did have a budget and I peeled through that, but there's a lot more questions and I don't have any answers. I'd be more questions than answers at this point, but I mean, I have a general understanding of how all that works. Obviously, I lived here all my life. I actually was successful in going into the sheriff's office and squandering a cup of coffee to scratch that office for me.
Well, you said you are a taxpayer, so it is your coffee too. So.
I gave it a little undergunned, but they did give me a cup of coffee. But we've been pretty lucky in this county. We've had really good. Of course, with their. We just lost our Damien up there. We had a nice deputy in Hazelton, which is nice to have a police presence in town because, we just don't have the local police, the town police anymore. So it's nice having that police presence in a town, which is really nice. It's kind of sad to lose them, but, hopefully we get one replaced. But, I think it's, again, if this county just functions well, I think it's, I know the problems are increasing here. We're seeing the problems come here that have been everywhere else that other people are fighting, and now they're getting here, unfortunately, which really is a sad deal. But I have a general understanding. But.
Okay. Have you, a family member or a business partner, signed a contract or accepted money from Summit Carbon Solutions?
I have.
Okay. And the main reason for that too, just explaining it, is that with us being basically a permitting authority for that, if there's any conflicts of interest, it's just best to have it out in the open, so. There was two more kind of additional questions that came off the cuff, but we decided we're gonna ask everybody. So, the next question was, if someone in the county were to ask you for, say, a personal favor, how would you react or respond to that?
From me or the county?
Well, from this, as a county commissioner, not as Mike Rapper.
Well, then they wouldn't get one, but I mean, for me as a person, yeah, they'd probably get one, but yeah, you can't run around and can't go around and hand out personal favors from the county, can you? I mean, that'd grind this thing down in no time, wouldn't it? Yeah, no, you just can't do that. Can't do that. And again, I think that's back to, if you go back 30, go back decades, like people could do a little thing here and there, right? But now they're taking it, you give them an inch, they take a mile. You can't do this forever, you just can't. It'd be a disaster. How do you manage something when you got where's everybody? I don't know, they're over, yeah, you can't do that. And the liability, it's just, it'd be, yeah.
I think it's fair to say times have changed when it comes to some of those practices of,
And I think, there's a kind of a trail where there was a trail of abuse starting, so it just forced it to, it kind of forced the hand of it, so,
Then the last question is as a county commissioner, would you view yourself more as a district county commissioner or the entire county?
Well, I think, the budget issues and the cost issues are all countywide, and I think, so on that level, it'd be countywide, it's interesting because I represent a district, right? So anybody that has a problem in the district's gonna come to me, and I suppose I would bring that to the commission level, I'd bring that to the level of commissioners that say, we got this in our district, but really, isn't 80% of your, 70% for sure of your business, really, isn't it just countywide for all your commissioners? It really just is. So you're running a county, and of course I'm representing a district, so I would have constituents in that district that would have concerns or whatever, and I would be the one to represent that. But I kind of see a mixture of both, but I realize you guys, this is running a county, and it is nice you have districts and spread it out so nobody gets neglected, right? You can't just have everybody in one end of the county and forget about the other. It's a good deal. You gotta have it that way. But it'd be both, right? I'd be the only one from District 1, so I'd have to speak up for it.
Yeah. So that's it for the questions, so I guess the only other thing to do is, do you have any questions for us?
I really don't at this point. I really don't. I have a slim understanding of what you guys do, and but I'm sure I'd have to learn. That's a problem with joining a board and getting up to speed. I hate to say it, but there's a little bit of downtime, right? There's like an education cost and all this stuff, a training cost, because, I'd come in new, I'm not gonna be able to offer much the first few meetings, right? The first budgets, I haven't been involved in one, so I can't dare and do it and do what I'd like to do for your first time. It's just the way it is, but.
Yeah, you get to help approve a budget, you didn't get to negotiate, so that's.
Well, I understand that, so that's part of the problem of being new, if you're new, but, I try to get up to speed as fast as I can, and I try to contribute as much as I can, and try to help as much as I can, otherwise I wouldn't even offer to be here, you guys, don't have a personal agenda or nothing, if I can help, I can help.
Okay. Well, I think that's it then, Mike.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, thanks for coming in.
All right, you bet, we'll see ya.
Next interview's at 10:45, and there's no lot faster than I thought.
There's another guy out there.
Is it? Oh, we could take him early if it's.
Rockies, yeah.
That would be.
Sergeant.
Rocky's not here. Craig, the next one is, and I told him just to sit tight because he's a little ahead, so he's gonna send Rocky in when he comes, and then when Craig comes, at least we'll get them done a little bit earlier. Yeah, I guess if we are way ahead of schedule, maybe we could break for an early lunch, and then maybe you could call the other two and see if they could come in early. Could give it a try.
I think so, that.
Well, they are running fast. I thought 45 minutes would be a good fair time. I was expecting more questions and stuff. It seems like it's.
Paul's not out there?
No, but then there's two of them that are after lunch, so I'm guessing they're not gonna come till at least then, so. We do have enough time here, so there is one other item on the agenda, and that is the, contract proposal for blading roads. Again, I was contacted by Russ Lawler after the last meeting, and, he had offered, basically, because we were talking about maybe bringing in temporary people and trying to figure out a way to get extra blades on the road as more of a, non-full-time employee scenario. So what he did is he actually drafted a proposal where he would basically get hired out as a contractor. And, basically what he explained to me is it wouldn't even probably be him running the blades. He's got guys that can run, I think 2 blades is actually what he's offering, but 1 for sure. He said he could go as much as 40 hours a week, even $225. That, basically that's his proposal, kind of like we did with snow. It's big, especially after you make big change or something, we get time, and I think with that proposal, the idea would be is that if we want to accept it, we would probably just leave it to Skylar, to probably want to get growth as needed, because I know Russ had mentioned too that there's gonna be times he won't be available. It's not like it's a full time, but if he's got time available and people available and stuff, and if we're asking him to do specific area of the county or something, then we would be available, so.
We'd like to take it out, we'd like to get it.
Well, I mean, that kind of, like you said, depends on availability, because one thing we were talking to Skylar about too, he said that now that we get, John T. and Terry Ibach on as like a temporary basis, and they're running together, so they're getting route done pretty quick, so Skylar said too, I mean, if it stays dry and everything, we might not need it as much, but if we keep getting these soaking 3/4 inch rains, yeah, we could use everything we want. So when Skylar had said, every week we're using 40 hours and not even for another 2 weeks then. We're already in the middle of August, I mean, there's really probably only a month and a half of true blading season unless we get one fall. Yeah, well, I mean, I think the big thing,
It's just by the audio, but too much than that wall.
well, and I can tell you one problem that we ran into, especially this last rain, I mean, when you get soaking 3/4 inch rain and then you get dew like we had overnight,
It just,
I was on some dang good roads that were greasy. I mean, you just, and they're good 12 hours later, but boy, for half a day.
Those roads they gravel, they gotta be worked a few times.
Yeah,
They should be on the ball, I mean, they should be on them right away.
right after it rains.
Well, and I think that's where with this proposal, that's the option where knowing what we know, you can get another blade or maybe even 2 out there, at least in a critical time when there's moisture or after it's bad stuff. Well, I just think, right,
I'd be all for it.
well, because I mean, at least in the short term, until we can staff this department, so. I guess the main thing would be is if we, if we accept this proposal and basically just tell Skylar it's available as he needs and.
I'll make a motion to accept this proposal.
Okay. Commissioner will make some motion to approve the proposal by Russell Lawler Construction for the contract lady. Is there a second to that motion? If you want to discuss it, well,
Does he finish the feed?
just second it and then we can get a discussion. That's about it.
I second it.
So seconded by Commissioner Terry, now we're in discussion. So yeah, according to the proposal, No breakdowns, breakdowns are all covered, you know, at least the fuel, the labor, everything, the $225 an hour covers all, so it's basically just a contract rate. Insurance requirements, all that stuff's all provided by the contractor, so it's no different than when we custom hire for.
And that's strictly just for the 2023 season.
Right, it's for blading season in 2020, so. And the blading season traditionally, people meet at the least, unless it's a really long fall. Usually by then, we're on mowing ditches and other things, and the gravel's pretty well motivated.
So you have 2 blades.
Well, it is, he said one, possibly 2 motor graders, so he's basically offering one for sure. If we wanted a second one and asked for it, he could probably man one sometime, but I know he's basically offering one because he does have a.
You know, doesn't really see, right, we got all the kids out there.
It doesn't seem, well, that,
Well,
I can tell you, man.
well, the discussion I had with Skylar too, because I know a lot of people are, how come you're not bringing these seasonal guys? I've been asking. Some of the conversations have been like, people come in here and they go, this guy will work weekends. And we contact them, like, well, I mean, one weekend or where, you know, the other problem you have is, so these guys that do full time, like, how many can work weekends and off time? So now you're asking someone, fire department, to put in some kind of overtime to manage it, like if they get a flat tire, they need fuel. And I think the hesitation from the road department is that we're not really vetting some of these guys, and on top of that, they're working hours at work and supervising them, there's just, I think this route, in my opinion, is a lot more legitimate. Need him, we call him, comes in when he can, if he wants to give us an entire week, if you need it, do it, if he can give us a Friday, and that's all we really need him. Friday, I think it's a decent situation. If we don't need him, he said he's busy, so it's not like he's relying on this. So if all of a sudden we go to a fall drought and we get the roads tucked away and it's not so bad, even if we on a little bit, and if you need him more, we have him.
But the contract says he wants to play for the 2023 season, does he?
No, it just says it's proposal, it's for until the end. It's effective immediately until the end of the blading season. So,
Yeah.
basically, he's saying now till home.
I don't think it's bad, yeah. So, look, we got all of the things up there.
But to say token, he used his blade secondly, he does it pretty fast.
I understand that, we're just saying that, you know, you got them blades, your blades are 7.
Yeah.
I would give you guys a scenario where if you do have, like, we got John interior, like, supposed to have blades. We're actually running big blades.
I think he's got a few guys now too, right, that it's gonna be a good.
Skylar, it sounds like that listing is done at the end of this week or something too, and then he was gonna, he said he's got a couple applicants he's thought, but he's gonna look through, so. You know, but even in the event that he would, let's just say he interviews someone next week, they're probably gonna give a 2-week to 4-week notice that we're not, and then you guys, in September, then they're gonna be really green. So I think this is a good fallback option if we need it. If we don't need it, it's just one of them that's available. I think
it's a good idea too, it just doesn't look good.
I know.
Well,
In the public, I something like this guy. That's my opinion. Just get these bullets in shape if you can, with help. We're so short staffed.
I think when you have an offer for something like this, I think it'd be foolish not to at least have it there. You know, if you don't need it, you don't need it. If you need it, you got it. 'Cause, I mean, until we staff that, we're behind. And just, if we're not gonna do nothing to address it, then guilty if you can do it. So, I think we're all kind of in agreement. We have a motion and a second on it. All those in favor of accepting the proposal by Russ Law and Construction for contract blading until the end of the blading season 2023. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Proposal approved. So basically, and I told Skylar about it already too, so now that it's approved, it's basically at his disposal. I mean,
It's discretion.
well, that's the only way to probably truly manage it. I think if you have commissioners call in. Yeah, I don't think it'd be a good idea, because Skylar might have a plan, or somebody else is gonna go to that route. Now it's, you're meeting in the middle, or so it just could be unproductive. I think it's kind of like the snow removal, you just have to kind of, if you see spots, you think something needs to get done, you're getting calls, the proper thing to do is to call Skylar.
Yeah.
And then just make sure you go, hey, if you can't get to it, maybe we bring on our contractor, and that's kind of, I think, the process that.
Yeah, I don't think it's up to the commissioner to dictate where somebody should go.
Well, and on top of that, you also have, you're gonna have probably a lag time, because I'm assuming in this scenario, Russ is probably gonna be in the middle of a project, he might not be able to respond for a week or better too, so that's why I think it would just be best to run through the road superintendent, and we can make our recommendations as we normally do, just like we're doing now, I guess, so.
How do you say it to me, so if I can get a route or whatever, that there's work, I eliminate all my,
Well, and
I
that's,
walk away from it.
and that's something, talking to Skylar, I think what he's gonna try and do is assess the situation, like where it needs to be the most, and then probably weigh if Russ's machinery is in this specific area, and that's an area that needs work too, maybe have him do that and shift one of our guys to a different area, so we're trying to create efficiency. You don't wanna be paying a contractor to drive their blade across the county when you could shift another guy up there, so, and that's all why I think the road superintendent and that department handling it, they're gonna know better than us who's in what area, when and why, so I think that.
I think the only problem we have now is it's too late in the season already, even if we get rain, to bring a lot of these roads in with all the grass that's there.
Well, some of that stuff is not gonna be done, true, but there's still a lot of, even, we're still graveling, so if we can even free up some of these guys off their route so they can go and help level gravel, so we can keep spreading gravel and have another guy still blading the route, maintaining it. I mean, after this rain, there's plenty of ruts, every route probably needs to get gone over once for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, they can't get to it the way they should. So,
Well, with pulling the shoulders and stuff, yeah, this is not the time of year, right? The only way to do it now would be to have to mow the ditch. If there's a properly mowed one or something, maybe you could go after, but even then, it's kinda late in the season to be pulling shoulders anyway, so. Main thing is just get that top as soon as possible, or keep the things going and.
It's help.
Oh, yeah, well, like I said, there's places that they're just not getting to in time because we've been so short-handed, and by the time a guy takes a day or two of vacation or sick time, and next thing you know, you're half staff, so.
I think that's all over the county, that people complaining they haven't even hardly been bladed at all yet,
I've had a couple phone calls, they didn't talk.
I don't know, I think the guys have been doing a pretty good job overall. I mean, there's obviously spots that are probably getting missed, and some of these guys maybe don't know their route as good as before, because they've been switched. I mean, you take like bringing John and Terry on, they weren't running a route. They might not know that last little half mile or something, then everybody's going, how can they blade it? Well, them guys don't run that route, JT ran the Hague West, or the Westfield area forever, when you put him up east of Linton, he's not gonna know every little road, so that's gonna be an issue, but.
I mean, we all over that gravel to Westfield there, 1,000 loads or whatever it was, and people still call and complain that, well, you didn't put it on my road, you didn't put it on this road,
It takes a lot of loads to satisfy the whole county.
Well, I know,
It's insane.
but I mean, we got more done in this one year than we did in the last 5. Hauling down there, and there's still,
spots missed.
yeah.
Well, what was the number? I think Francis had told us that time to put 3 inches of gravel on a mile of road was like 40 or 50 loads or something, just to do a mile of road if you truly want. So, I mean, it sounds like a lot to do 100 loads, and you're probably truly only getting a mile or 2, maybe 3 good done. I mean, if you're doing a good job, if you're doing, so yeah, it's just.
Takes a lot of material.
It takes a lot, and it takes a lot of time, and the
But I
work.
mean, our county's been probably neglected for the last 30 years, where it's just been really not long with our little trucks, 2 to 3 trucks, what are we gonna do with 2 to 3 trucks?
Well, another issue you have, especially Westfield, northwest corner of the county is a similar issue. You're too far away from the gravel pit, but you're burning, if you consider a load is not a load in every part of the county. There's some places you could get 3 loads done to 1. We bit the bullet with Westfield, we decided we're gonna gravel it, there was a lot of empty trailer time, and that kills you too. You could probably have done twice as many loads if you'd have picked the specific spot. Right, if you'd have been right around a gravel pit, you got 2,000 instead of.
Surprised, I got a call from Westfield there, they said, gravel from Oregon is a lot better than over.
They painted their stuff, and that gravel pit, was the north end, was near the ground, that's what it was in the south end, and that came directly from Dennis Moore. And he was located
Which pit is that?
out by Maverick.
Oh,
He said it's just total, I said,
well, there was 2 different there because we.
they're lucky.
Sports fans,
You're out to the blue sea.
I'm the next contestant.
Yeah, go ahead, so you're up.
Okay, don't want me to sing or anything like that, do you?
It's your show, you can do what you got. You think it will impress anybody, go ahead.
Well, don't get me thrown out.
Maybe,
Not bad.
good,
Materi?
good.
So, we had 17 questions we'll ask you, answer them the best you can. And then at the end of it, if you have any questions for us, that's when you can take your opportunity to ask that. So, I guess to start everything off that isn't part of the questions is, state your name and what town you're from.
Rodney Johnner, I'm from Hazelton, North Dakota.
I guess we're calling you by your nickname too, or I don't know if
Yeah, you can call me anything you want, really.
that's. Okay. Okay. So the first question is, please tell us a little bit about your background and more specifically what interests you in being on the Board of County Commissioners and what encouraged you to apply.
Okay. My background, I graduated from, I'm from Linton originally, graduated from Emmons Central, worked most of my life out at my uncle's farm, which I bought after I retired. My background is basically military. I spent 31 years, 8 months, and 26 days in the military. And what interested me about the county commissioner position is my neighbors actually encouraged me to run. I wanted him to run, and he says he just doesn't have time, and he says, no, you should run. So and I've always had an interest in it. When I initially graduated from high school, I worked for the county for, I think it was 2 years. And I was a grader operator. We built roads, we did the snow removal and all the good stuff. But I've always been interested in the commissioner part. But I'm not a politician. I don't really like the campaigning part of it. I thought that, yeah, and I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to get a little experience and see whether this is something that I want to continue to do. And, you know, I know the county's got some important issues, and I've got ideas, opinions, and I would express them and move forward.
Okay. It's important for all members of the county commission to be present at all meetings in order to maintain efficiency in conducting the county business. Is there anything that would prevent you from regularly attending meetings on time?
Sure.
Define the role of a county commissioner.
The role? Well, he's elected by the people to represent the people, and you know, we understand that you're responsible primarily to your district, you know, but there's so many issues that need to be voted on countywide. So, I mean, you have to be involved not only in your area but in other areas, and weigh the good and the bad, and get the facts. Rumors and opinions are one thing, facts are another. You know, people have to realize that the county is not the Bank of North Dakota. You don't have the money to do everything you want, and that needs to be explained. You know, if somebody has something they want done, well, you know, it takes a compromise. You've got to be able to bend, and they've got to be able to bend to make something work. But every request I consider valid, and it just needs to be worked out. And most of us don't know what the perimeters are, you know, what the requirements are and stuff. And if you say no, you got to explain to them why you said no, not just because they'll form the opinion that, oh yeah, he's a bad guy, you know, he's not listening to us. But you're listening, but you can't do something. But they got to know why you can't do it, and you got to hear why they think it should be done, you know. And if they're way off base, well, you got to explain that to them, because a lot of people don't realize they think you can do everything, but you can't.
That was a really good description of that. What do you see as the biggest challenges facing Emmons County? If you could change one thing, what would it be?
Well, there's several little things that could become big things. There's a pipeline that is totally unnecessary in my opinion, and what I've read and looked at, and I agree with the county, what you guys have done, you know, trying to prevent that from coming through, and I really think that is a valid, good point. And I've talked to guys that, you know, they were saying how rude and bad the company was as far as coming in, and then I've talked to some people that can't understand what you're talking about because they were treated really well with the utmost respect and everything. So, you know, it's kind of a, we want to make them out to be really bad guys, but maybe they're not really bad guys, it's just they're misguided. They're trying to do something, and I believe it's all got to do with money, and it just, there's too many unknowns. We can't tolerate that in that county, especially with the high pressure that they're describing.
Okay. How much experience do you have serving on boards of directors, management committees, or governing boards?
Well, I was the Emmons County Veteran Service Officer for a few years. When Tony Getz passed away, I was appointed the Veteran Service Officer. I held that for probably 2 years until I was transferred in my job. And then I recommended Alex Olhauser, and of course he got it. And you know, and I've been on several boards in the military, you know, and I've done several different types of board. Nothing, you know, I'm not saying it's anything great. I wasn't running the country, but I did have some input on some important issues.
All right. Describe a situation when you had to make an unpopular decision and how you dealt with the consequences.
An unpopular decision, wow, where do you start?
Well, you know that good ones.
Yeah, but there's nothing that really stands out in my mind. I have no problem making an unpopular decision, and how do I handle it? Hey, I'll tell you why I made my decision. It might be unpopular, but it was according to rules, regulations, whatever. This is why I made my decision. And, you know, if I could change it, I would if the situation allowed. But I don't get too, if I make a bad decision, I'll admit it, but I'll explain to you why I made that decision. And if you agree with me, great. If not, well, we'll agree to disagree.
How will you make yourself available to constituents, and how important is it for the commissioner to be available?
How will I make myself available? My phone number, my email address, text, whatever. And then how important is it? It's very important. Unfortunately, our commissioner became ill this last winter when we had snow. And, you know, and fortunately everyone realized the situation, and everybody did, in our area anyway, everybody did what they could to get themselves out, as opposed to, you know, counting on the county, because, you know, we know the county is short-handed, which I don't know what you can do for recruiting, but I'm sure there's avenues there, and we need to get more operators, and I don't know. But as far as being available, I really don't go nowhere. I might go to Arkansas, play golf for a few days, but that's it.
Do you have any special projects, programs, or emphasis that you would like to pursue as a commissioner?
No. I'm not that familiar with what projects you guys got going or anything like that. So, and from from where I sit, I've not been involved in anything like that. And, there's no special project coming up that I'm really aware of. I know there's some projects requested, but, I read the minutes of your guys' meeting and I know there's projects coming up. But until you find out what's going on, it's probably better not to make any decisions.
What policy or procedure topics would you be most interested in exploring if you were appointed commissioner?
Could you repeat that, please?
What policy or procedure topics would be most interested to you if you were county commissioner?
Policy or procedures?
Basically anything in the county. Is there just one thing that
There is nothing,
interests you the most?
not at this time. I'm not that familiar with your policies and procedures. I don't, if I fail to comply with them, you would let me know, but as far as your policies, and I'm not that familiar with them, so I wouldn't I would not make any calls at this time.
In a time of increasing costs and decreased federal and state funding, how could the county save or get the most of them?
That's a good question. Very good. And to be honest with you, I can't think of anything right now because I really don't know your grants, your funding that you get. I don't know where you stand with that. I don't know the actual cost of running the county, what your fuel costs, your operators, your benefits that everyone deserves. I don't know where the county stands, so I don't know what to tell you. I'd just be giving you bad advice.
Is the current county zoning regulations and permitting process do enough to ensure the public interest, or are they too onerous?
I think they're sufficient. Again, you have to review them as they come up, or as you have an annual review, 2-year reviews, and review them. And are your policies current? Are they in compliance with state, federal regulations? What new requirements have come, basically?
Is there a certain part of the county government that would receive more attention if you were appointed? If so, explain your answer.
Probably the roads themselves. We've got some roads in pretty bad shape up north. Since they closed down 1804, 95th Street, I believe it is it needs more attention. And everybody wants their roads bladed weekly, every 2 weeks, but we understand that can't happen. But I would think that road should be probably bladed while this construction is going on, at least every 2 weeks, because it is really bad. And we've got some other bad ones. Well, yeah, we can put up with them. We need gravel, not the gravel we've been getting, because there's absolutely too much clay in that. I went to Arkansas a couple weeks ago, and I got on the interstate, and my truck it was like it was out of line. It was just shaking like crazy. And this has happened before. But I got down there and I figured, geez, Lord, I better get this thing aligned. Well, it wasn't in alignment. I just took a power washer and washed that clay off my wheels and didn't have a problem. And I've had to do that several times. If I go to Bismarck and then it starts, and then I'll have to go in and spray it down and come back and do it again, But I think that should become a priority. I think we need to, and I don't know where we'll get it from, but, a better quality of gravel. We got absolutely too much clay in what we have right now, and I'd like to see that as kind of a priority. I mean, and you guys have been there. Your areas it's just the way it is. I don't know if we're using the same gravel or what, which pit everybody's taking it from, but I know up there, our quality isn't as good. So that would be one of my priorities, yeah.
Do you have a basic understanding of mill levies and how the county uses mills to generate the county budget?
A basic understanding. I'm no expert because I have not been involved with it, but, I've been involved, can't say that because I have to pay for it. But the mill levies and, how you determine and how you, direct the funds is a lot of, we'll vote for a mill levy increase, when it comes up. But, I think, what we're doing is fine, but just make sure it's justified, A lot of times, you can push for something that maybe we shouldn't push so hard, and it ends up coming biting you.
No, hindsight's always 20/20.
Exactly. That's why, what you do up front means so much, so the bite isn't so bad.
Well, one thing about budgets and mill levies, it takes a minute to learn and a lifetime to master, so.
Yeah, exactly.
There's very few experts on it,
Yeah.
it's not an easy process.
Right.
What's your understanding of the services that the sheriff's office, fire departments, and ambulances provide, and how they operate and how they're funded?
Well, they're all very, very important, and funding seems to be the biggest curse because of the upgrades and equipment, technology, training. I think that the county needs to support them to as much as they can, especially the sheriff's office. I understand they're shorthanded too. And, that's not a good thing, What do you do for recruitment? Of course, throw money at it, but if you got nothing to throw, it's hard to do. So it's a tightrope you're walking there. But, each one of them services should be funded to the best ability of the county. Trying not to take away from something else because, you can get your hind bit again,
Have you, a family member or business partner, signed a contract or accepted money from Summit Carbon Solutions?
No.
And the reason we're asking that is just, with us being the permitting authority in this area,
Sure.
we're trying to, if there's conflicts of interest, we just want to know.
Correct. Understood.
And then the last two questions, which I wrote down on one piece of paper, I should probably write that one that I don't hide. I guess the one question is if someone approached you and asked for a personal favor as a county commissioner, how would you respond?
A personal favor, depending what it was, if it's something that involved the county,
Yes,
trying to sway my decision one way or the other, that's pretty tough to do for me, because I take a lot of things and, just kind of laugh them off and say, yeah, no problem. Got you covered, buddy.
So would you view yourself as more of a district county commissioner or an entire county commissioner?
Day-to-day district, once a month, county. Because I realize that the decisions made are not solely the decision of the district commissioner, because we're talking project, we're talking money, we're talking manpower. And like I say, we get together in that month, and of course, other days, you guys talk all the time, I'm sure. But, it would just basically be, I'm gonna do what I can for my district. and I'll do what I can for the county. And again, good, weighing the good and the bad, you know, something might sound good, but there's something attached to it. Money, whatever.
Okay. Well, that's the end of all the questions. Do you, have any questions for us? About the job or the schedule or?
I guess I got one. How long is this process gonna take? I mean, you guys, said in the paper by September 15th, you would will make that decision, and I thought, well, by, September 5th, that's your next scheduled meeting, and I thought maybe they would let this guy know sooner so that he could prepare himself for that meeting, or are you gonna bring them all in and say, you go home, you get to stay, or, I mean, how are you gonna do this?
Well, I think the intent is if we can come to a majority agreement.
Sure.
We're gonna probably try and pick some other day.
Okay.
If there's some kind of tie or non-consensus or something, then that's what we were discussing, whether or not we take the top 2 or 3 and interview them again.
Oh, I see what you're saying. There's a possibility of a follow-up interview
Well,
then.
the intent, I think, is to try and get someone as soon as possible, because
Yeah.
we'd like to have someone sworn in at the September meeting, so we can conduct business with a full board.
That makes
So
sense.
the intent is we're hoping to pick someone today.
And I noticed
that's
that,
something.
you know, you've got to all agree, and there's 4 of you. So Marlis might break the tie.
Yeah, that's not very comfortable for somebody.
You can't do that? What the
Sad part is
world?
that person will get all the heat.
Oh, what
That's
the
only one
world?
vote, so,
Marlis is tough.
Yeah, I think at the beginning of the meeting, I think the best case outcome would be for a majority decision today for somebody.
Understood.
And hopefully we're notifying someone end today or tomorrow morning
Sure.
or something.
And the reason is self-serving, I just wanna know, cause I hate waiting. I mean, I got enough on my mind, Ralph, saying, no, I need, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, in that case, I think we're gonna wait about 2 weeks and let
Sure.
everybody sweat a little bit.
Well, okay, now I can pace myself.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick on you a little bit. No, I
Okay.
think the best case scenario would be for us to
Okay,
get someone.
just wanna thank you guys for the opportunity,
Well, we sure appreciate you coming in.
Thank
you
you.
know.
So,
I know all of you except Mr. Everly that I've not had anything to do with, but you're way south, so. And I'm way north. Getting past that Highway 13 line is tough.
well, if you get appointed, you get to know real good. It's tough.
Yeah, I supposed to be yelling at me all the
Yeah,
time.
you know, so. Okay, well, you don't have anything else, that's all.
No, sir. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Someone else out there needs
If
something?
Craig is out there, he'd be next, yeah.
Okay. How many you got left?
3.
Okay. Have a good day.
Thank you, Rob.
Thanks.
So, check on this. All person, the one check, let's get it.
Those are, I think if we break,
Handouts.
Is that
all right?
No, yep.
Is that all right? A little background on myself and my petition copy.
So, we are going to ask you 17, well, call it 18, because the first question's not on here. We're gonna ask you some questions, and then, at the end of it, you'll be able to ask us anything, if you have any questions or concerns or anything. One thing I've been forgetting to say too, though, just to remind you, is that you are being recorded. This is a regular recorded meeting, so.
Oh, that's fine.
Forgot to mention that once or twice. So anyway, so we'll start with the first question, which is if you'd state your name and, where are you from?
Craig Miller from Hazelton. Address is Lincolnville.
Okay. I wanna make sure you speak into the mic too, it's probably hard to hear you.
Okay.
Okay? In the paper. So the first question would be, please start by telling us a little bit about your background and more specifically what interests you in being on the Board of County Commissioners and what encouraged you to apply.
Well, I've lived in Emmons County since 2007. We moved here with my infant daughter and my wife. Dairy farmed for a number of years, and that didn't turn out so good there in the later years when everything went upside down. So then we moved into other employment and always been employed in the county. I decided to get into this year. Up until then, I drove full-time for Tony Nagel with the garbage trucks. I really couldn't participate. Back in early 2000s, I was selected for jury duty, and doing jury duty and dairy farming was not a good fit. But I made my mind up I was going to do it because it was my duty. If I was on that jury, I'd want somebody else to do the same for me that had half a brain to figure my fate too. So I made it work. But I wasn't selected, so it didn't work out. But anyhow, this winter, going up to the legislature also, I spent a lot of time up there with the Summit Pipeline fight and also the raw milk deal. And the first time speaking to the senators was quite intimidating. The second time was not so bad. And going to other meetings around, I also decided, you know what, I can do this. I can get involved, I can help my county, help my people around me, make a better future for my children. And that's why I want to participate in this.
Alright. It's important for all members of the county commission to be present at all meetings in order to maintain efficiency in conducting the county business. Is there anything that would prevent you from regularly attending meetings on time?
Well, as of now, no.
How would you define the role of county commissioner?
He should be there to help the people, to answer their needs, to be courteous to them, and not speak down to them for sure. And as one fellow would say, be gentle and stay firm. Stay firm with your answer, but also not get snippy with them, I guess you'd say. And I'd say the biggest thing would be follow the Constitution.
Quoting Trent Blue's not gonna score any brownie points around here either. So.
No, it doesn't.
What do you see as the biggest challenges facing Emmons County? If you could change one thing, what would it be?
Well, I'd say the biggest challenge now would be property rights. And whatever we can do to keep our property rights, I'm all for it.
How much experience do you have serving on boards of directors, management committees, or other governing boards?
Well, I have been on Farm Bureau for, what's the term on it, 6 years or 8 years? 4 years? So I was on there 8 years with that. And I've served on church boards also. And dairy farming, you don't have a lot of extra time to serve on.
Yeah, there's not a lot of extra time for much.
Right.
Describe a situation when you had to make an unpopular decision and how you dealt with the consequences.
Well, I guess you just suck it up and take your hits and stick with your decision. If you know you're right, you're right.
How will you make yourself available to constituents, and how important is it for the commissioner to be available?
It's very important to be available. And I guess I never shut my phone off, so I'm available.
Do you have any special projects, programs, or emphasis that you would like to pursue as a county commissioner?
Well, I guess on the road department, in the wintertime, well, we're short of help now. And there's different farmers or different families, there have to be farmers that are out in the country, they can't get out. If they can open their own roads, open it for their neighbors, I think they should be compensated a little bit for fuel anyhow, something. As we're short of operators, and we could use the money we pay them, pay the operators to go towards that farmer. And that would open a lot of roads up for us and help everybody out. Used to be back in the day, everybody helped each other out and nobody just wanted to get paid, but now everybody thinks they need a dime or a dollar or two to do work, which, let's get back to helping our neighbor out.
Okay. Yeah, you might have to pull your mic a bit closer. What policy and procedure topics would you be most interested in exploring if you were a county commissioner?
Property rights should be a topic that we're saying.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
basically any kind of topic that we discuss as a county commissioner, I mean, what is something that would be most interested to you?
Yeah, property rights or the roads, that's a pretty good topic. I've been about across about every road there is in the county, and there's good ones and bad ones. See what it would take to make a good road out of that road.
In a time of increasing costs and decreased federal and state funding, how could the county save or get the most out of them?
I would say better planning. Or like this road project down to 96th Street. I think there should have been a little more planning on that before they put gravel on it. And that would have saved a tremendous amount down the road to get a good base on that road. And the same with every other project. We need to get our plan together, get a good base going before we proceed with it. Just get all together and figure out how we're going to do it the best, most efficient way.
Is the current county zoning regulations and permitting process doing enough to ensure the public interest, or are they too onerous?
I think the county permitting system is adequate for what it is now.
Is there a certain part of the county government that would receive more attention from you if you were appointed? If so, explain your answer.
Law enforcement needs to be funded pretty decent, because those people are risking their lives out there for us. You just can't have anybody out there, they're representing us too, our county. And you don't want any halfwit out there with a gun. They need to be interviewed and vetted properly to make sure they are the ones we want out there. Gary Sanders made that perfectly clear. And also, road operators, they need to be maybe led the right way or taught. I mean, we have a lot of experience here, and that's great. There are some good operators out there. I hope we can keep them.
Do you have a basic understanding of mill levies and how the county uses mills to generate the county budget?
That's something I have to learn. I'm not real up on that yet. But I guess we're all looking to learn something, even at our age. I'm not going to pretend to be a know-it-all.
Well, don't feel bad, because it's not an easy process to learn.
No.
It's not, for guys that dealt with budgets most of our lives in some form or another, it's still not easy to understand.
Right.
What is your understanding of our various local, public safety agencies such as the sheriff's office, fire department, service, how they serve the county, operate?
Well, I guess I am on the fire district board too. And 30 years ago, the fire department only had 3 or 4 trucks. Now they got a whole fleet inland to there. I'd say they're adequately funded. They have enough equipment to serve. Sheriff's department, he could use a couple more deputies. But as he said earlier, it's hard to find good ones, and that goes with any line of work. You get what you pay for. We don't pay good, we're not gonna get good employees.
Have you, a family member, or a business partner signed a contract or accepted money from Summit Carpet Solutions?
No, sir.
The main reason we're asking for that is obviously we're the permitting authority. If they come through this point before, we just want to be able to clean conflicts of interest.
Yes.
If someone approached you as a county commission asking for a personal favor from the county, how would you respond?
I'm not interested.
And the last question is, would you view yourself as a district county commissioner or a commissioner for the entire county?
Well, you can see from my petition, I've had signatures from all across the county. I would represent my district first, but also be there for the other residents of the county, because we are Emmons County residents total. When I had my petition and people found out, they called me asking to sign. So I would, from the garbage route and preparing fence all over the county, I know a lot of people and get along with. I'd say about everybody I've ever worked with.
Well, do you have any questions for us? Anything specific or
Well,
application, position?
yes, if you select me, you'd have to be willing to teach me some on a few finer points of it.
I don't know if you want to learn anything from this group, but no.
Well.
Marcy does most of the teaching around here.
Oh, she be a good teacher.
Yeah, she's great. Okay. Well, if you don't have any more questions, I believe that's all for us, so.
Okay,
All right.
can I sit in or can I sit up?
Yeah, no, now that you're done,
Okay.
if you want to attend, that's fine. We're really ahead of schedule actually, because we gave 45 minutes to each person, so we'll entertain taking an early lunch and seeing if the other 2 candidates can come in early, so.
Okay,
I think what we'll do is, Marlis, if you try contacting them first, and then if they are willing to come in early.
Well, you want them to come like at 12:30 already?
All's out there.
You would take a lunch break?
Okay, well, he said that Paul is out here,
Oh, that's a big thing.
and he's quite here, but I mean, I guess I don't know if it really matters. So, yeah, I guess if he's here, I guess we can take it. Might as well. Yeah, you can send Paul in, is Dwayne Scher out there too? Is Dwayne Scher wasn't out there yet, was he? Okay, well, he was supposed to be before you, but we're way ahead, so if you're here, we'll take him. We'll do the interview now. Okay, yeah, go ahead, we'll take it. Okay, I guess that answers more of that first question. It says on your petition, John P, so do you want to be, I've only called you Paul, do you want to be called John or Paul?
Paul.
Okay. All right, Paul, so we have, 17 written questions and one that isn't on here, basically, which is simple, but, we're gonna ask you some questions and then, at the end of it, if you have any questions or anything for us, then that'll be your chance to respond, so, we'll start first by, if you want to state your name and where you're from.
Paul Furch from Hazelton.
So the first question will be, please start by telling us a little bit about your background and more specifically what interests you in being on the Board of County Commissioners and what encouraged you to apply.
I'm from Pennsylvania, 11 years ago, moved here. Just do work around the county for whoever calls, I guess.
to be on the commission. I've run for the office 3 years ago against Dave Culver. I have a concern for our roads, have had for quite some time, and I guess some of the spending. So.
Okay. It is important for all members of the county commission to be present at all meetings in order to maintain efficiency in conducting the county business. Is there anything that would prevent you from regularly attending meetings on time?
Not that I know of. I haven't missed too many.
How do you define the role of a county commissioner?
Well, I think you're taking care of your constituents in your area, taking care of their concerns, watching the budget, some of the spending, making sure they have safe roads to drive on, making decisions on some of the stuff that's coming into the county, whether it's wind towers, pipelines, solar.
What do you see as the biggest challenges facing Emmons County? If you could change one thing, what would it be?
That's a good question. I think we need to do something with our roads. I think that in the past 11 years since I've been here, that I see them going downhill. Not, maybe in some areas worse than others, but I don't see that we're keeping up with some of the traffic on the roads that we have nowadays with trucks, farming, all this stuff. I think things are going backwards.
How much experience do you have serving on boards of directors, management committees, or other governing boards?
None on any political governing boards. I'm on the Farm Bureau board.
Describe a situation when you had to make an unpopular decision and how you dealt with the consequences.
I don't know. Unpopular decision. I guess maybe with my kids telling them no and dealing with the aftermath of that, I guess.
Okay. How will you make yourself available to constituents, and how important is it for a commissioner to be available?
I think you gotta answer your phone anytime it rings, and you gotta go and look at the situation, whatever it might be.
Do you have any special projects, programs, or emphasis that you would like to pursue as a county commissioner?
Probably mostly with the road department. I think there can be some things done there.
What policy and procedure topics would you be most interested in exploring if you were appointed county commissioner?
Policy as far as?
Well, just basically anything with the policies and procedures of anything in the county, any department, and.
I think there ought to be some sort of a review process for our county road department employees as far as their ability to perform what they're supposed to be getting paid for. I think that they're paid very well for their ability. And we just handed them a big fistful of money.
In a time of increasing costs and decreased federal and state funding, how would the county save or get the most for their money?
Oh, I think there's a lot of spending going on. It could maybe be slowed down a little bit on some of our equipment costs.
it seems like we get a lot of new equipment. And I don't see it. You know, we built these roads here in this county, I'm sure, with older equipment, single axle trucks, gravel roads. Now, all we have to do is maintain these roads. And I don't see it happening like it should be.
Is the current county zoning regulations and permitting process doing enough to assure the public interest, or are they too onerous?
Run that by me again.
Are the current county zoning regulations and permitting processes doing enough to assure the public interest, or are they too onerous?
I think the permit process for some of these projects could be a little stiffer. It just seems like they come in here and, you know, with some of the stuff, it just seems like we turn the county over to them. I don't know if we don't have the ability to stop some of this stuff, a little more power in the county side, I don't know.
Is there a certain part of county government that would receive more attention from you if you were appointed? If so, explain your answer.
I don't know, I guess I'd have to skip on that one.
Okay. Do you have a basic understanding of mill levies and how the county uses mills to generate the county budget?
Nope, that'd be something I'd have to learn.
What is your understanding on how our various local Emmons County public safety agencies, such as the sheriff's office, fire departments, and ambulances, serve the county, how they operate, and how they're currently funded?
I just know what I've seen at the meetings here, that's be about it.
Have you, a family member, or a business partner signed a contract or accepted money from Summit Carbon Solutions?
Nope.
If someone approached you as a county commissioner asking for a personal favor from the county, how would you respond?
You don't get them.
And last question is, would you view yourself as a district county commissioner or an Emmons County commissioner? In the entire county?
I would say Emmons County Commissioner.
Do you have any questions for us?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, that concludes all the questions and everything, so I guess if you don't have anything for us, then I'm free to go.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for coming in, Paul.
Yep.
So I guess we only have one interview left.
You want me to call so we can 12:30, you want to break for lunch then?
Yeah. Because what time is he scheduled to come in?
1:15.
Yeah. Well, if he could come in at 12:30, that'd be great.
Great. Yeah, so.
I'll just be back here. 12:30.
Be back at 12:30.
I'll see if I can get along.
What, 12:45?
Unless he's outside.
No, this is here. I mean, yeah, I guess that's.
Hey, Dwayne, this is Molly Scott from the auditor's office. The commissioners are running ahead of time here. They're gonna break for lunch. Is there any way that you could come at 12:45?
Unless he's in town now.
Okay, that's about a half hour earlier than we had you scheduled for, so, that's not a problem. We'll see you at 12:45 then, okay? Thanks, Dwayne. Bye-bye.
You're gonna give them a call.
Yep, so we will recess until 12:30, 12:45.
Okay.
Our interview's at 12:45, so as long as you're here by then, that's when we'll show you everything. Yep, I'll give you enough time for lunch, so. All right, we're gonna recess for lunch.